everybody, it's Denise with Lazy K Mountain Homestead. Well, guess what? It's zucchini season. I have these. Whoops, we'll knock everything over. These, look how nice. A little bit bigger than what you'd buy in the store. And then I went out this morning to see if there was any more. And look what I missed. That's right, a 2-foot zucchini. Well, it's going in the relish. That is what we're making today. I found a recipe online I had saved for a couple years, and I never used it because it has curry in it. And I thought, well, let me try that. It doesn't make a ton, 5 pints. We love relish, and I love hot dogs and hamburgers and stuff like that. So this is something different. I normally go to the Ball Blue Book for the zucchini recipe, which is tried and true. I'll probably make that one too at some point if the zucchini keeps multiplying like this. So this also has bell peppers. It has the bell peppers and then the green peppers. They have different flavors. These are sweet. This has a green pepper flavor. So, and then I've got some Vidalia onions. Got some senior moment jalapenos, 2 of them. So it'll be kind of hot sweet with that curry. And I think, let me see here, what else does it have in it? Cornstarch, turmeric, curry, celery seed, and of course black pepper. So, and I've also got some cucumbers that I got out of the garden, so I'm going to make some cucumber relish tomorrow. So this will be enough for that recipe. So this recipe, you need to cut up all your vegetables. Now you can shred them, you can put them in your food processor, shred them that way, which is probably what I'll do to make life easier. Or you can chop it in little chunks. If you want to do that, that's on you. However you want your relish to be. The consistency and texture, it's kind of a personal preference. I needed to go to Dollar General this morning, and I found this big wash tub, and I washed it out so it's all clean, because when I cut up all my veg, I'm going to put it in there, and I'm going to put the salt on top and cold water, and it's got to stay in the fridge overnight. And then tomorrow morning, we'll take it out, we'll rinse it, and we'll rinse it, and then we'll put it together, and we will water bath this. So this should be really good. This recipe is from Taste of Home, and like I said, it's a couple years old, and it's, if you've ever heard of Taste of Home magazine, I don't know if it's still out there, but I know online you can get recipes, like if you put in a recipe in your Google and all these recipes come up. Taste of Home a lot of times will come up, and I always liked that magazine because it was like recipes from home cooks like me and you. And it always had a little story attached, like this was Mama's recipe or Grandma's recipe, or I always served this, at Thanksgiving, and just a little. So this one says, classic recipe made with cucumbers, but sweet and tangy, top packed with zucchini, peppers, and onions. And I use it on burger sandwiches and any recipes that normally call for pickle relish. And it's from a lady in Kate City, Arkansas. I'm not going to say her name because that's privacy. But it does call for cucumbers, she said. So let me see here. Made with cucumbers. I think that is a typo because it's clearly made with zucchini. So that's what we're going to go with. There's not one cucumber listed. So I'm going to go ahead and make it with the zucchini. That's kind of weird, isn't it? But anyways, let's get started. First thing you want to do is make sure that your zucchini is washed. Look at that. Like I always tell you guys, it's been out in the dirt. This is a perfect one for this relish because it's big. We'll see how big the seeds are. If the seeds are too big, I'll scrape them out. Or you can always shred this up, let it drain, and put it in baggies. And I always freeze it with 2 cups for zucchini bread. So I'm going to go ahead and get us over to the sink, and we'll be right back. Okay, here we are at the sink, and I've got a clean wash rag or washcloth, dishcloth, whatever you want to use it. It's one of the ones I crocheted. I like it because it's got a lot of texture to it. And I just washed off my vegetables with cool water, and let's make sure all the sand and dirt is off of there. That guy is a monster, isn't he? And we're going to cut that yellow piece off of there. That's where it was laying on the ground. It calls for 10 cups. I don't know, that might actually be enough in that one. So we shall see. I want to use that one first because it's one that I missed. These guys are perfect for zucchini bread and relish or whatever you want to make. I had someone ask me if I made any kind of vegetarian meals or dishes, and I do. I'm not a vegetarian, as you know, because I'm always cooking with meat, but I do like meatless meals, especially in the summertime. The way I grew up on the farm, whatever was in the garden is what we ate, so there wasn't any meat, and we didn't need it if we had lots of corn on the cob, lots of cucumbers, beets, trying to think of all the stuff. It was just loads and loads. Squash, yellow squash, zucchini. I mean, I had 3 brothers, and we just ate till we couldn't eat green beans. So we didn't need meat, and we were good. So I'm going to, in the next couple days, when I get some zucchinis that are about that big, I'm going to make some vegetarian or meatless. I'm going to call it meatless. I'm not going to say vegetarian because it does have cheese, and I know there's different levels of vegetarianism. So please don't come at me because I don't know, but they will have cheese in them. So, but anyways, that's going to be in a couple days, probably next week. But let's get started on this. So let me go ahead and move this down here. I've got my oldie but goodie food processor ready to go. She's got the shredder on there, and I've got everything washed. And let me find my knife. Okay, so I got everything washed. I get interrupted with a phone call, so I'm kind of back in here. So if I repeat stuff, forgive me. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to go ahead and cut our ends off of our zucchini. Oh, it smells so good. The chickens will like those ends. I'm going to go ahead and just set these back in here because it's clean. And I'm using this big mamma jamma here. And I'm leaving the skin on because you want the skin just like you would if you were using cucumbers. And I'm going to cut this in half so I can actually handle it better. It's a little hard to handle a 2-foot zucchini. And I'm going to go ahead and cut that yellow part of the skin off because I don't want that. The chickens will really enjoy it. This is when I wish I had pigs. They would really love it. We used to have pigs. Hopefully we will soon get some. Okay, now see the seeds? Those are pretty big. So I'm going to go ahead and scrape some of those out. Not all of them. But if you don't like seeds in your relish, you know, even cucumber seeds, you don't have to have it in there. Let me get a little bowl to put this in. It just scrapes real easy too. It's not a big deal. But they are pretty big. Yeah, I think those are just too big. You want your relish to be enjoyable condiment to eat and not have to worry about big old seeds in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and get all of them out of there because I still have plenty of this zucchini to use for my relish. All right. I went ahead and just completely de-seeded it. And that's what I'm going to do with all of it. Now, if you have smaller zucchinis, like I've got over here, the seeds are probably not that big. You can leave them in there, but this is my preference. Okay. Now, this recipe calls for 10 cups of shredded zucchini, so that's going to be a lot. And I've got my oldie but my goodie. You know, everything I have is ancient, but it still works, so I'm good with that. I'm going to cut my zucchini in here into strips to put in here. And this is an 8-cup measure, so I'm going to go ahead and fill that up. And let me see here. If you don't have a food processor, you can use a grater. Or like I said earlier, you can go ahead and cut this into just small chunks. It would be a long process for 10, but that's up to you. I've done it before. All right, let me see. I guess I got to do one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to turn off the video for this, and I'll be back when I've got 10 cups. Okay, I've got 8 cups here. That was that whole big zucchini right here, 8 cups. I've got another smaller one, but I wanted to show you the difference in the seeds. See, I'm not going to seed that because that's fine. And I'll just put that in the food processor. And I may have to do another one because I need 10 cups. So, again, I'll be back. Not wanting to drag this out, but I wanted to tell you my food processor, which is old, shredded it, but they were kind of long. So what I went ahead and I did was I put the chopper blade in there. And when I do the rest of the stuff, I'll keep the chopper blade in there when I do the shredder, and it'll go ahead and kind of chop it down a little bit smaller because I don't like stringy relish. So that's what I'm going to do, and I just pulse it here, and it just gives me exactly the texture I want. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the onions and the peppers. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing. Everything's going to be the same size. And we're going to put everything in this clean, you need a large, clean pan. And if you've got something else to use, that's fine. This is what I like to use because it's got to go in the fridge overnight. So let me just kind of back it up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. But it's going to be beautiful and colorful. And it'll be in layers. It's kind of like a chow chow, really, but it's a relish. So let's let me get started on these peppers and I'll be back. Okay, I've got everything nice and shredded and cut into the textures that I want for my relish. It really looks pretty. I'm just going to go ahead and stir it up with a wooden spoon. Look how pretty that is. Let me just remind you, because I did put a jalapeno in this, hot pepper was optional. Now remember to use safety when you're cutting your hot peppers. And the seeds and the ribs are the hottest part of the hot pepper. So you want to take those out unless you really want hot. That jalapeno, I only used one because these are hot. It took my breath when I was seeding it underwater. So be mindful of that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, I've got it all mixed well. Look how pretty that is. Isn't that beautiful? We're going to go ahead and put 1/3 cup of salt on here. And then we're going to stick this in the fridge overnight. And then tomorrow morning, when I get up, we are going to rinse. This is a very old-fashioned way of doing things. This will get a lot of the water out of it. It'll also keep the crispness And you don't want to mix it around. You just want to put it over the top. And we're going to cover this, and I'll probably put plastic wrap on top here with a tea towel and stick it in my fridge. And we will be back tomorrow morning, and we will get this going. Can't wait for it to come together, especially because it's got the curry, celery, pepper, turmeric. Sounds good. See you in the morning. Well, good morning, everybody. Here we are with our relish. I had to run to the farmer's market this morning first thing, so it's still early. So we're back with our relish, and this is what it looks like overnight with the salt on there. And what I'm going to do is throw away my plastic, and now I'm going to go ahead and rinse all of this in this big colander here. You want to rinse it really well and really good. And I found this big colander, look at the size of that, at the thrift store for like $1. I was so happy because these little guys take forever. This is going to be amazing for this. Any of your canning needs. I was going to buy a thing that went over the sink from the Mennonites, but when I saw that, I'm like, wow, what a deal. Anyway, I've got my pint jars ready. They're filled with hot water. They've already been sterilized and everything. Got my water bath canner over here on the stove. You can't see it. Got a pot ready because we're going to have to cook this for about 30 minutes with all the spices in it before we go ahead and can it. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump all of this good stuff in there. Oh man, it smells so good. If you like the smell of summer, Willis is home and he said, it smells like summer in the fridge. Well, all these wonderful flavors. And I'll go ahead and rinse that out later. You want to rinse this with cold water. Nice cold water. And what we're doing is rinsing all that salt off of there. And we're not going to add any more salt to it, because this had 1/3 of a cup of salt on there and it went in it overnight. Now what I like to do after I've rinsed it, and you're going to rinse it well, so I'm going to probably rinse this for about 5 minutes. I'm going to put some tea towels down, and then I'm going to dump all of this vegetable mixture on the tea towel and just get all of the water out of it like that. Kind of like you're wringing it out. If you've ever made spinach dip, anything like that, you know how you have to thaw your spinach and then you bring it out in a tea towel or a paper towel. I like to use the tea towels because it doesn't rip like paper towels, you know. But boy, this smells good. And my hands are clean. Just kind of moving it around here. Oh, it's so pretty. Look at all the colors in there. Wow. Now, when you do buy a colander, you want to make sure it doesn't have a whole lot of big holes in it because you don't want all your goodies to go down the sink. This one is absolutely perfect. But if you want to get one of those mesh colanders, that works too. I'm going to go ahead and let that sit there for a minute. I'll be back. Okay, it's been about 5 minutes. And I want to tell you, you might say, well, how do I know I've got all the salt off of it? Well, the best way to do it is to try some of it. And if it's not salty, you're good. It'll have a little hint of salt, but not like overpowering salt, where it, makes your tongue parched and want to fall out of your face. Anyway, that is what you do. And I think that's perfect. So, and if you feel like it's got too much salt, just keep rinsing until you are happy with the flavor. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to bring you over here. See, I've got my pot ready. And what we're going to do is we are going to get our tea towels. Let me grab my tea towels. It was such a good day at the farmer's market. like to go over there. I got some blueberries, some peppers. Our peppers aren't in yet. We got peppers and some more squash and things like that. Even though I've got squash, you know, I like to go to the farmer's market, and I like to get things from those farmers and gardeners, and just kind of, you know, buy from them, so they know that what they're doing is making a difference, and it helps them. A lot of them are elderly, but and you know, they've got all these things, and they having a little pocket money. So if you can do that, that'd be great. Plus, you're getting fresh veggies, and you know where they came from. Okay, I'm getting this, and I'm just going to go ahead. Let me get that out of the way. And I am just going to go ahead and dump this just like that. There you go. How nice is that? And I've got another tea towel here. I'm going to cover it and just kind of squish it down. And you're just getting all that excess water out. And these towels will keep the water from getting all over your counter. But you can always put other ones down if you want to. I don't think I need one. But for extra measure, I'll go ahead and put this one down just in case. There we go. I'm just going to let that soak up that water. I mean, you don't have to have it perfectly dry. I mean, it's going to have water in it. All right, now let's come on over here to our pot. And we're going to put all of our liquid and spices in here, and then we are going to mix that together really well before we add our zucchini veggies, and then we're going to cook that down for about 30 minutes. And I'm going to put it on low to start. We want 2.5 cups of vinegar. Now this recipe does say you can use either white or apple cider vinegar. To be honest, I'm not a real fan of apple cider vinegar in my relishes and stuff. Even though I do like old-fashioned flavors, that's not my favorite, so I like to use white vinegar. And if you are using white vinegar, you want to make sure that it says 5% acid, because that will be your shelf life with your canning. Okay. All right, now to that we're going to add 2.5 cups of white sugar. Now I have seen other recipes where it calls for a lot more white sugar than that, and I was kind of happy it wasn't like super overly sweet, because I like it to be spicy. Okay, now to this concoction, we are going to add all of these. Aren't they pretty? You've got 4 teaspoons of cornstarch. Then you've got 1 teaspoon of the spices. I have 1 teaspoon of mustard seed, 1 teaspoon of celery seed, 1 teaspoon of turmeric, and 1 teaspoon of curry. And I'm going to go ahead and just pour all that in there. And then we have 1 teaspoon of cracked pepper. I didn't have enough room in there. Okay. Now we're just going to go ahead and mix all of this around. If I can find what I did with my, yeah, that's okay. I've got more. I like to use a wooden spoon. And like I said, I've got it in medium. If you want to use a whisk, you sure can, because you've got the cornstarch in here, but it's melting into the vinegar really well. That reminded me of Wizard of Oz. Oh. All right, so we've got a really nice, beautiful color here, especially with that turmeric, and it smells so good. So I've got that nice and mixed together. You want to make sure all of that cornstarch is mixed. That's what you don't want to have any clumps or anything. Okay, so I've got that going. Now, and of course you've got your sugar. Everything's mixed nice in there. And I've got it on medium. All right, get some of this stuff out of the way. And to this, I'm going to add our veggies. It's pretty simple, I think. All right. We've got all of our veg. Here, let me just back you up so you can actually see what I'm doing. All of our veggies. Just kind of be gentle when you're taking this apart. Let's see, it's nice and dry. And you want to be careful because you don't want it to fall on the floor. I have had that happen before. And then you cry because you definitely can't reuse it. Okay. So now I'm just going to go ahead and gently dump all of that in there. Okay, there we go. And you're not going to wring that towel out because it's got the water in there. Okay. Let me bring you over here so you can see what we've got. There we are. Isn't that pretty? And we're just going to mix all of this together. And you splattered on your mouth. Oh boy, this smells so good. And I am going to put a lid on this as I cook it down on medium. You don't want this to be like a rolling boil. You want more of a simmer. Boy, that smells and looks so good. Okay, I'll turn it up a little bit to maybe medium high and I'll watch it. As always, you want to watch because you don't want anything to scorch. That's a lot of time you put into that. So I will be back in 30 minutes and we will can this up. Okay, I just wanted to come in here and show you how it's boiling. You see how it's just kind of simmering like that? That's what you want. And I've got it on medium high, and I'll probably back it down a little bit. And I did taste it, because remember yesterday, and I was telling you, I hadn't made this recipe before with the curry in it. Oh man, it is absolutely amazing. It's not overpowering. It just really married well with all those other spices. So I would definitely give this a try. So we'll be back probably in about 15 minutes. Okay, we have cooked our zucchini relish for 30 minutes. I went ahead and turned it off, and I actually went out there and snuck a tablespoon for Willis to try, and he said it was wonderful. We really like this. I know I'll make this again next year. Okay, so you've got your heat off. You've got your lids and rings, and again, you know I'm old school, so I always make sure that they came to a boiling, and then I turn them off. My hair is crazy. I've got my canning funnel. I've got my tongs, and I just threw my little, whatchamacallit somewhere. I'll find it. That's my little magnet that I get this stuff out with. And then, now this recipe says 5 pints. Well, I always err on the side of caution, and I have actually got 6 right here, but 7 that are ready to go. And I've got my canning water bath canner over here. I've had it simmering, and I'm going to go ahead and pour all my waters in here. You want it to be at least a half full when you start simmering it. You don't want it too hot because you're going to be putting this in there. Now, when I go to fill these up, we are going to fill it to 1/2 inch headspace. And like I always give myself this as a guide. You see that little rim there? That's my guide for me. I've used that for years and years and years and years and maybe more years. So, all right. And I don't actually know what I did. There it is. Okay, there we go. So I've got my canning funnel, and you want to make sure you get juice. Make sure everything is like even and equal when you're putting this in here. One at a time. Usually for a pint, it takes a couple of these ladlefuls. There you go. You can always go back. That's what I do. I do 2 ladles. Then I go back if I need more. Boy, this almost tastes and smells like a chow chow. If you guys have never made a chow chow, or if you haven't, you're missing out. If you have, you'll know what I'm talking about. How delicious. Let's see, I know I had a spoon here. Yep, here it is. Don't want to dirty up too many dishes. Usually can happen. Actually, this just might be 5. I don't know. It sure felt like a lot more with all of that zucchini and goodies. More the merrier. Get these guys over here in line. Oh, I know I keep saying it, but boy, it sure does smell good. And all the colors. Oh my goodness. The red, the green, the orange, the jalapeno. Oh, we get to the bottom there. And the jalapeno did calm itself down. You can taste a little spice, but it's not hot. So if you were leery about using jalapeno pepper in here, don't be. If you like a little spice, it'll be perfect. It's not overpowering by any means. Alright, I guess it's going to make 6. Sounds good to me. See, I just got that little bit left there. Now, if it's a little bit left and you don't want to can that little teeny bit, you can always just put it in your fridge and use it. It'll probably keep about a week without being canned in your fridge. Okay, I'm going to just go back here and top off everybody to my 1/2-inch headspace. And you can just go ahead and mash it down just like that. And now this is sticky because it's got the sugar in it. So remember, we're going to have to wipe off our jars, or around the mouth of the jars. Make sure there is nothing that's going to impede our seal. And that's why you do that. Because anything that's sticky or a mustard seed or something might be up here on the rim. It'll actually make it so they don't seal. And you're going to be like, oh no. I think one of the saddest things is when you are canning. And I think a little teeny bit I've got left in here, I'm just going to put in a little 1/2-pint jar. I mean, it's really nothing to write home about. It's probably a 1/2 ladle. I'm going to go ahead and stick that over there, and we will put that in the fridge for later. Look at all these guys. Aren't they beautiful? Wow. You know what's fun, too, with relish and pickles? You can always just kind of play with the spices. I have seen relish recipes that have cinnamon in them, nutmeg in them. Like I said, this has curry, which is something new for me. I love curry. But so anyways, don't be afraid to try different things. Especially if it's just going to make like a small amount like this. That way, you know, you be creative. I sure miss my granddaughters not being here this year. They've all gotten old now, where they're working, and the grandsons too, on my side of the family. Willa's side, we still have the little ones, where they're not quite old enough to be working or anything like that. So, but I miss them not being here. Okay, now everything was wiped down, and we're going to go ahead and get all of our lids. Everybody gets a lid. Water's not that hot, I think. That will go in here. Oh, I just love summer. Willis is doing some things outside. So he's home for the holiday. Well, at least till tomorrow. I think he's going to Houston. But it's nice to have him home for a whole day when we can go over to the farmer's market, just enjoy. That's like our date. Date night on the Lazy K Mountain Homestead, farmer's market. Okay, I'm going to slide my canner over here. Be careful when you do that because it is hot water. And remember, whenever you're canning, you want everything to be as close in temperature as possible. These are hot, so they're going into this hot water. If for some reason it was room temperature, you'd want this to be room temperature because you don't want anything to explode. All right, now this is going to be hand tight. And when we get all of these in here, we want to make sure that the water is over your jar tops at least 1 inch to 2 inches. That way they will can properly. Okay. And yes, they are hot. I'm just a tough little bird. Okay, we're about an inch over, rather. I might pour a little bit of this water, just, that'll make it 2 inches. Turn this on high. We are going to go ahead and put our lid back on. Let this come to a rolling boil, and then we are going to let it can for 15 minutes at a rolling boil. If it looks like it's a little crazy, you can always back down your temperature a little bit, but you want to make sure the water is moving when you're canning for boiling water bath. Okay, we will be back in 15 minutes, and we'll have to let it rest for at least 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes in here, because you don't want to bring it out. I've got ACs going, which I'll probably turn off because, you know, the air change. All right, we'll be back. Well, guys, here's our 6 pints of our zucchini sweet relish. Isn't it beautiful? I do want to tell you, when you let this rest for about 5 to 10 minutes, make sure that your air isn't freezing cold, because it's got to acclimate to the outside air. So I turned off my air conditions just for a few minutes until they get used to the air here, and then I'll turn them back on a little bit. But you can already hear them start to pop. You know they're sealing. Well, I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe. I hope you'll try this recipe. It's really good. It'll be in the description box. Y'all have a great day from Lazy K Mountain Homestead. See you soon.